Watch this.
It was supposed to be a simple solution to a stagnant downtown, but business owners believe Caldwell's new parking meters have only complicated their bottom lines, keeping Caldwellers away. Is it time to scrap the idea or just tweak it a bit? We know fireworks not on the 4th can be annoying, and the illegal ones might even be more irritating. But ratting at your neighbors might not be the thing to do.
This is small town America. I love this place.
Crouches cling to that small town America mentality, but when their 4th of July was regarded as redneck, well, they decided to make a change, labeling illegal fireworks off limits, slowly but surely. Well, the booths have been open for a couple weeks now, and if you haven't already heard the snaps of those fountain cones or the screams of the Whistling Petes, you likely will soon. Same can be said of bottle rockets, mortars, and M80s. 'Tis the season to recap one of the most Idaho laws the Gem State has to offer. Fun fact, you can legally buy aerial fireworks in Idaho. However, actually lighting them off, well, that part is illegal, unless you have the permits to put on a professional show. Otherwise, you just have to make a promise that you won't do that. So try to make sense of it. I don't know. It's what it is. If you've been in the valley, though, during the 4th of July, maybe hiked up to a higher elevation, and you took a look around, you might wonder whose word means what. Those broken promises also put law enforcement and fire protection in a really unique situation this week. So before we start to get all those text messages about why your neighbors are allowed to not follow the rules, Joe Paris explains the balancing act between public safety and the annual response of our first responders.
Imagine if the state of Idaho passed a law allowing people to buy marijuana, but they weren't allowed to smoke it within the Gem State. If you change a few words around on that previous sentence, you have Idaho's law on aerial fireworks.
The week of July 4th is the busiest for sure.
Catherine Holland is an Ada County dispatch supervisor.
The phones are non-stop on the 4th of July. The phones are constantly ringing.
The Idaho intricacy on fireworks is a little piece of paper like this. Idahoans can go buy aerial fireworks, but they must sign an affidavit saying that they will transport them outside of the state to use in a place where local, state, and federal laws allow it. But why can't you just set off aerial fireworks in Idaho?
We did 25 fires last year just on 4th of July. Normally we have 2 fires a day.
Yeah, the annual damage to the community is a key piece. Boise Fire Marshal Mike Bisagno understands the excitement of fireworks, but there is a line.
Safe and sane fireworks we're fine with, but it's normally it's the illegal fireworks that cause us the most trouble.
Just take a look at the night sky on the 4th. Imagine all the calls into dispatch across the valley.
The radio is extremely busy on 4th of July, yes.
But there is a major difference between an emergency and an annoyance.
So we do ask you guys to call for life-threatening emergencies. If there's any calls with fireworks involving injuries or active fires, we definitely want you calling 911. But when you just have a firework complaint, we do ask that you call our non-emergency line.
Law enforcement sort of has their hands tied on enforcing what is a misdemeanor for setting off illegal fireworks. The way Idaho law is written, agencies like Boise Police tell us if their officers do not witness the use of illegal fireworks, they need a witness to be signing on to a citation. And they have found that people aren't as willing to do that. And if they aren't, officers can really only give warnings. That is, if a reporting party can even track it.
And a lot of times people aren't exactly sure where the fireworks are coming from, so that's really hard for us to be able to send out an officer and not have specific information. It takes up a lot of time if we're having to try and hunt it down.
It's a tough thing to track in real time. Good luck triangulating a neighborhood rocket. It is easy, though, to track incidents every year, hundreds of them, with a peak in 2023 in recent years in terms of fires needing fighting.
When you're just doing privately owned illegal aerial fireworks, there is no fallout zone in your neighborhood and you don't know where it's actually going to land. So yeah, there's the chance of a fire starting on a roof or starting in a yard greatly increases.
All right, I know how this next sentence will sound, but hear me out. If you have aerial fireworks and maybe you're just finding out that these are illegal to set off, maybe you do know this already, but Boise Fire says there's a great option that they hope you will opt for.
Please don't set them off. See if you could return them. If you can't return them, treat them like we would ask people to treat duds. Soak them in water, throw them away after they've been soaked for a long time overnight.
We understand that it's frustrating, so that's why we just ask for the grace from the public to know that they're frustrated with the fireworks in their neighborhood, but we're frustrated with the fireworks throughout the valley that are being set off.
So a few things here, again, to be crystal clear, these aerial fireworks, you can't shoot them off, but they will get shot off anyways. Dispatch is dealing with all the fireworks calls, as well as everything else you can get on a 4th of July holiday. You can imagine there's a lot of alcohol drinking in the community that leads to all kinds of things. On top of all of that, Brian, there's also the fact that, I don't know, the regular things happen in the community. For example, the worst case scenario is, God forbid, that someone is having a heart attack and law enforcement and EMS are dealing with fireworks calls and they're showing up to basically nuisance.
You're taking away resources.
You really are. There's also another thing I just want to quickly touch on. My friends from Boise Fire pointed this out. There are folks that think, okay, maybe I'll go out into the boonies in Ada County, maybe we'll go out to the desert and we'll shoot off our fireworks there and it's not near any homes, it's a lot safer. Don't do this either, because that is how the wildfires start. That is how the rangeland fires start. I was listening to Rick's forecaster in the news at 4. There's going to be winds in our area this week. Things get pushed quickly like that. So look, it's the way it is here in Idaho. The law is what it is, but be smart.
Illegal is illegal. Thanks, Joe. All right, speaking of illegal fireworks, scattered all across the Gem State are tiny little towns and cities that like to put their own mark on celebrating America's independence. Probably none more famous or infamous than Crouch, where for years the idea was to keep the crazy confined rather than randomly scattered throughout Boise County, the majority of which is covered by the Boise National Forest, and where there are just about 4 people per square mile. But this year, Crouch is actually cracking down on that free-for-all that usually marks its 4th of July celebration. No illegal fireworks allowed this year in Crouch, a response to what has become its reputation, but mostly because of the risk. On a good day, the city of Crouch is home to about 350 people. But for one day of the year, the population explodes to about 5,000. At least it did in years past.
Right here is crazy, right? You had fireworks, bottle rockets, people shooting them at each other, and it was just really...
Right next to a gas station?
Right next to a gas station. I guess it was a lot of fun unless you got hit.
And some did. In fact, when the video from 2016 went viral, it was the mountain town's reputation that was kind of left with a black eye.
If the New York Post are picking it up and advertising that, then yeah, we're getting people from all over.
Which is why the following spring, the Garden Valley Chamber of Commerce opted to outlaw fireworks in the city streets.
We've always tried to get people to be responsible and go to one location where, there's less chance of fire.
The last few years, that location has been the rodeo grounds.
The rodeo grounds was really crazy and fun, but
until now. But then a couple weeks ago, the chamber and city council, after being educated about laws and liability by the local fire chief, they elected to enforce the state's illegal fireworks ban completely.
Now we're talking about why we don't want illegal fireworks, because of all these trees around us that can catch on fire.
Did Crouch and Garden Valley just get tired of the reputation, or just get tired of possible danger?
It's the danger more than anything, right? It's the liability. I think if you went and you interviewed any of these business owners, they're going to say it's a sigh of relief that the fireworks weren't here.
Hi, ladies.
So we did.
All the activities will be here. The parade goes up the Middle Fork up there, and then the duck race in the river is down here.
Jen Schmidt bought the Crouch Merc a couple of months ago. Yeah, the building with the gas pumps out front.
I'm very surprised this place is still standing. Very surprised. Shooting fireworks at each other in front of the gas pumps.
She's worried the updated 4th of July enforcement might just mean a more random disbursement of Roman candles.
So yes, I think that people have planned to do it. They probably will figure out a way to do it. I want it to be fun, I really do, and I want people to celebrate and have a great time, and I think it's a great experience for the whole community to come together. It's obviously a great source of revenue for our little tiny town. It is going to be $9.54. But also, yeah, it can be easily overwhelmed. We have a small fire department. We have a small, we don't have a sheriff up here normally. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys came in. So to bring that kind of population in where you need lots of help might be very difficult to control.
It's a concern shared by many others who call Crouch home year-round.
Because what happened in the past is folks from the valley would come up here because this is a place they thought they could get away with it.
And they did.
And they did.
But not anymore.
No.
And you want people to know that.
Correct.
So hopefully you do know that. It's not like there won't be a celebration in Crouch for the 4th of July. It just will be an all-day event, starting with a flag raising and a flyover in the morning. The family favorite Soapbox Derby will be back. There's a duck race on the river, as you heard, and there will be a parade. As for those exploding colors, well, the Chamber was able to raise enough money to have a professional fireworks show at Wheelmunster Park, which will begin at dusk. So there will be fireworks. They just don't want you to bring your own. By the way, we did speak with the Garden Valley Fire Chief, who told us he has spent the last year educating the locals about the dangers of allowing illegal fireworks, the centralized location or otherwise. He told us he was reluctant to go on camera with us because, as he said, this is a contentious issue still, which begs the question, what's contentious about safety and following the rule of law? I know we just finished highlighting how all the law and order rule followers seem to forget all of that in the name of independence this time of year. But maybe not setting the forest or foothills on fire or drawing blood with a bottle rocket, maybe that's a good thing to get behind. For some reason, freedom, or for some, I should say, freedom might mean you're free to be dumb, but it doesn't have to be. And if appeal to a common sense isn't enough, Craig with the Crouch Chamber of Commerce or Garden Valley Chamber of Commerce, he told us law enforcement will be in town. Okay, so where else can you find fireworks around Idaho? A lot of places, actually. All fireworks shows start at dusk, which is around 10:15 this time of year. Nampa is kicking off the party early, though. Their fireworks show is tomorrow night at Fort Idaho Center. That's July 3rd. Boise's fireworks are on the 4th at Ann Morrison Park. If you are in Caldwell, you can find the fireworks on the 4th at Brothers Park. Cuna, by the way, they're also going to be on the 4th, and you can find those in the square, the town square. Twin Falls, that'll happen Thursday at College of Southern Idaho. Maybe you didn't hear your name or see your city's name there on the screen. All you have to do is head to our website, ktvb.com. You'll find a full list of 4th of July celebrations around Idaho and Eastern Oregon. Caldwell's mayor is counting the complaints over their new parking meters, and they're adding up faster than the money in those meters, which may mean paying less for parking downtown. You have any complaints? How about any questions or concerns? We'll take your comments too. It's that time for you to vent to our text line, 208-321-5614. Just remember to include your name and the hashtag #the208. That way, we know who it is when we share yours at the end of the show.
It hasn't made us any busier at all. In fact, the streets in front of the store seem a lot more empty than before.
Well, it's now been about 2 months that downtown Caldwell businesses have had to manage with parking meters. Owners are still saying the whole pay for parking thing has cost them money and customers. Tonight, the Caldwell mayor is going to propose some changes to those meters, including extending the free portion of the parking space and reducing what days you'll have to pay. So what do city council members and business owners think about these adjustments? Here's Aspen Shumpert.
I can't say that I've seen any positive changes. Things have been pretty much the same. The streets seem empty, the store is slow.
2 months after parking meters went up in downtown Caldwell, businesses still believe they are keeping customers away. That doesn't sit well with council member Diana Register.
So there were all these things that may work in a bigger city, but it doesn't work for Caldwell. And I think that's where this is getting lost.
She voted no on the parking meter ordinance, hoping the city would take the time needed to get it right.
The meters were extremely rushed. The mayor did not communicate with council about what was going on or what he was going to do. And I feel like we went from step 1 to step 10, putting in the meters.
She says there could have been a test period or more discussions about when the meters would run.
The community said in many different times at meetings, on social media, all over the place, that they would stop coming if they put the meters in. And it was almost like the city called their bluff and they're not coming anymore.
A petition started by downtown business owners now has more than 700 signatures demanding the city remove the meters.
People to rush in and rush out, which is not something that we want for Caldwell.
We watched as one of Rostock Furniture's customers tried to pay to park, but got locked out 6 times.
He said those parking meters are a nightmare.
Caldwell Mayor Jerem Wagner has heard the complaints and plans to answer them with some proposed changes he'll announce at Tuesday's council meeting.
Currently, all people get 15 minutes of free parking. This proposal would increase that to 30 minutes of free parking. The second change would be to the days of the week when parking is charged in downtown. Currently, when you come to downtown, metered parking is charged Monday through Saturday. This proposal would reduce that to Monday through Friday, with Saturday and Sunday being free.
Business owners say that's not enough.
I do think that it is a Band-Aid. I don't think that offering Saturdays free and offering an additional 15 minutes is going to do really much of anything especially for our customers. We need a lot more time for people to come in and shop.
She's suggesting 2 free hours of parking, while others would be satisfied with 1.
I'd love to see the first hour free every day, and Saturdays free. Because I know that there has to be a compromise. Everybody would like to see these gone, but I'm certain there has to be a compromise, and that's what I'm trying to work for. Before the meters came up, the businesses were getting more people, and now, as you can see, the street's empty.
Additionally, the contract between the city and the meter company gets renewed each year. That will potentially happen this fall, or the city could choose to reevaluate the parking meters then as well. I also want to mention that a Caldwell man, Eric Phillips, has started working on a citizen initiative. If he were to get enough signatures, the parking meters would go to a vote by the public. Once it's been submitted by the city clerk, it will go under review. He hopes to get that to the city clerk this week. Additionally, Brian, there were businesses that were for this in the beginning.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Even that gentleman said everyone wants to see them gone. Is that true? What about those that want to see them there? And
I have yet to find the businesses that initially wanted parking meters to avoid some of that congestion. I know Council Member Register also said she had talked to 18 businesses just in the last 2 weeks, and she couldn't point me in a direction of one that was supporting them as well. So I would love to hear if they're doing what those businesses wanted.
So, I mean, I guess this from the beginning, this was the mayor's idea to put these in there, right?
Yeah, it was the mayor's idea after hearing concerns from businesses of employees parking out front in their spots all day.
We'll see if anything changes tonight, because they could make a decision tonight, correct?
Yeah, they could make a decision tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Asma. All right, less than 2 weeks after he officially claimed his spot on the Olympic team, Boise's Mateo Jorgensen, is back on his bike racing in the Tour de France. Jude Binkley tells us how he's doing on day 4 of that race, plus other notable news of the day in today's 411.
One man is dead after police say he drowned in the Snake River. The Twin Falls County Sheriff says witnesses said a man jumped from a 60-foot wall. The sheriff's office says deputies recovered the man's body east of Centennial Waterfront Park yesterday.
We've been hearing a lot of frustration about the closed primary system.
The Open Primaries initiative is one step closer to being on your November ballot. The grassroots group Idahoans for Open Primaries submitted the petition signatures to the Secretary of State's office at noon today. The petition is proposing all voters, regardless of party affiliation, have the right to participate in primary elections. The top 4 vote-getters would advance to the general election, which would go into an instant runoff, also known as ranked choice voting, where voters pick their top candidate and then rank remaining candidates. All 97,000 signatures from across the state have already been verified by their county clerks. Now Secretary of State Phil McGrain will conduct a final review before it can make it onto the ballot. Boise's Mateo Jorgensen, who will compete in the Olympics, is currently competing in the Tour de France. Today, riders went more than 86 miles from Italy into France. He finished today in 12th place and was the top American rider. He currently sits in 11th place overall with 17 more stages to go. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Jude Binkley.
And wow, we've been having some beautiful sunsets in Idaho, likely another one that's going to be coming along for tonight. First of all, let me describe what's taking place here. This is all a part of showing how the weather is somewhat changing. It starts with this. This is, of course, a heat index up here as you look up into portions of eastern Oregon, especially for the Columbia Basin. By Friday, they're anticipating temperatures anywhere from about 100 to 105. And yes, more heat down here west of Burns, and there's another advisory, and that's what's working our way. That's why we started our first alert weather day on Saturday, and it really continues into quite a bit of next week as far as we can see with the real heat. But before I leave this map, let me just talk about what's east of Boise. This area through here happens to be a red flag warning. Low humidities, temperatures, not temperatures so much, but gusty winds are possible, especially about Mountain Home eastward. Of course, anywhere in Idaho, gotta be really careful with fire and changes like that. So when we take a look here at this particular map, the high pressure ridge or the dome of heat is out here over the Pacific, ready to move in. Now here it is on today, on Wednesday. I'm going to run this ahead, as you see, into Friday. And now it makes its way our way as to later Friday evening. As we continue with this, you can see how we've got this heat that continues even into this next week. That's going to be hanging around for a while. Right now, the storm system to our north is bringing some cooler air into the area, so we're seeing some changes. But when you look at the 7-day or even into the 10 days, could be a little extreme, but it shows the possibilities as we get out to another 5-6 days and into next week.
All right, from parking meters to fireworks, we get your comments to end the show today. This one from Tammy in Caldwell. The meters have been a godsend. Most complaints from employees and owners of the businesses are those who cannot park right out the door at the expense of customers. I hope they leave them alone, she says. Here's a long one. The Caldwell meters are a joke. The city claims veterans now get 3 hours of free parking, but there's absolutely no way to enter that I have a veteran plate through the app. The only way I can get free parking is to walk away without paying and risk getting a ticket. We've heard that complaint that they're complicated meters. Maybe there's a solution to that they can figure out and maybe replace those. My husband is a veteran PTSD. We also have a scared dog. I really love it if people would be considerate to one another. Maybe people can remember not everyone is thrilled about the fireworks. Happy 4th of July, says B&B. Okay, so if Crouch can outlaw illegal fireworks, why can't Boise, says Ken. Here's the thing, Ken, and everybody else who kind of wonders about this. They're already illegal in Idaho, across the entire state, illegal fireworks. You can't shoot them off. So why not pass a law that says you can't buy them either? It's been tried. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll see you then.